Hey everybody, how's it going? It's the Daily Shooter, and today I want to talk about what it's actually like to leave California, one of the most restrictive states in the entire country. That's got to be one of the biggest questions that I get in my inbox these days is, how's everything going? What's it like to live in Nevada? What's it like to be free? I mean, there's 1,000 different iterations of the exact same question, but essentially people want to know, is the grass really greener on the other side? So we're going to talk about it. Now, before we get started, I want to say a big thank you to everybody who helped support this channel. From the Firearms Policy Coalition, who stepped up big time to help save this channel once everything kind of fell apart, to my Patreons, who also stepped up to help keep the lights on here. I couldn't do it without you guys. To MSR Arms, Cali Key Bolt Action AR, and I want to thank Phase 5 Weapon Systems for sending over some stuff that I can show you guys and some stuff that I can give away. So for my Patreons, don't forget that this month's contest, which is for the Phase 5 Weapon Systems LPSN 15 handguard and magazines, is going to end at the end of this month, and I'll be picking a winner on the 2nd. If you're a Patreon, you're already entered. There's nothing else to do. So thank you to everybody who helps keep us running. Now, let me start by saying if you don't live in a restricted state, if you live in a free state, it's going to be very hard for you to comprehend, near impossible for you to comprehend what it's like to wake up every single day under the thumb of a tyrant. Always worried, always looking over your shoulder, always wondering if you're breaking the law without even knowing it. You could be a law-abiding citizen who's not ever even had a traffic ticket in your entire life. But if you're a firearm owner, you have to wonder if in some way you've broken the law but didn't even know about it because the laws change so often. People in Massachusetts, people in New York, people in California. I know California is a really bad state, but I got to be honest, there are other states who are worse in certain areas and pretty close on others. So there are millions of people who wake up every single day under the thumb of a tyrant and don't know exactly how their day is going to go. That's just a fact of life for these people. But born in these states are some of the toughest patriots that I have ever met. In California, in New York, in Massachusetts, in some parts of Illinois and other restricted states, you're going to find people who are willing to stand up and willing to fight, even though they're completely outnumbered by the rest of their population. Again, like I was saying, they're some of the toughest patriots that you met. You won't know that because you live in a free state, or maybe you live in a state that's only barely restrictive. But yeah, the gun owners in these states are some of the toughest that you'll meet. Okay, now with that being said, what's it actually like to be born and raised in the state of California and to live there for 43 years and then to move to a state that is significantly more free like Nevada? Now, Nevada is kind of a blue state now. There is a Democrat governor and there's been some unconstitutional gun laws that have come down. And so just like California, you want to put a stop to all of the new stuff that's coming out. And at the same time, you want to try and fight to overturn the stuff that already exists. So that's kind of what you need to do here in Nevada as well. You need to stop the influx of these unconstitutional gun laws, and you need to fight back and reverse the ones that have already passed and gone through. So it's a fight no matter what state you go to. You're always going to have to stay on your toes and try and push to make sure that the values that we hold dear to us, the Constitution, is upheld wherever you go, whether it's Texas, whether it's Arizona, whether it's Nevada, Idaho, or any of these other places that we like to go to be more free. Now, in Nevada, I got to tell you, it is unfathomable how different life is and how much more free I am, even considering the fact that I'm only 3 hours away from where my old house is located. So between 3 and 3.5 hours from where my old house is located, the amount of freedom that I can experience here is just absolutely, it's unbelievable. So there's a lot of people that say, if I moved out of California, the first thing I would do is this. If I moved out of California, the first thing I would do is that. And what's interesting is when you first get here, okay, like let's say the California handgun roster, 10-round magazines, assault weapons bans and stuff like that, right? People say that they're going to get and do all of this stuff once they get here. But once you get here and you realize that essentially there's no restrictions on your Second Amendment rights other than, the red flag laws and a couple other, few exceptions. But as far as like magazine capacity limits go, as far as handgun rosters, threaded barrels and stuff like that, you're good to go on all of that. So when you get here, it's really overwhelming because you don't understand exactly how people like this can be so free when you were not so free before. So you come over here and you almost feel like you're a criminal when you do things that would be illegal in California that are legal here. For instance, threaded barrels. In California, I had threaded barrels for my pistols, but if I put those in the pistols or if I showed them on camera, I'd be breaking the law. Here, I can have a threaded barrel and it's not a big deal. I mean, people act like when you get excited about something like you're weird because you're excited over a threaded barrel, when to them it's just another average, every ordinary day part. It's just something. But not every state can have threaded barrels on even their rifles. I mean, you want to look at some of the New York SAFE Act and the New York gun laws. I mean, those laws on weapons are extreme. And threaded barrels are something that not everybody can have. So when you come here and you realize, hey, I can have a threaded barrel. Hey, I can have a 60 or 100 round magazine. Hey, I can do all of these things that I couldn't before, like pick any gun. That's one thing that I think is probably my biggest, the thing that I noticed the most when I moved out of California. Without the handgun roster, there's like thousands of guns available that you can buy. Anything that you want. You want to go online, you want to find something, maybe the new, SIG P320X Compact. You want to buy that? Yeah, sure, go ahead and buy it. It's available here. It's absolutely incredible the amount of freedom that you have to get what you want. That's the problem in California, is you can't get what you want. They restrict your ammunition purchases. They restrict the type of firearms that you can own. They restrict the handguns that you can own based off of this, backdoor gun control bill and backdoor handgun roster. So they restrict all of these things so that you can't get what you want in the state of California. And then when you move here, finding that you can get whatever the hell you want, it's overwhelming. And you walk into the gun shop and these guys know when you're from California, you walk into this gun shop. I go into Spartan Arms. The first time I went in there, I was like this, just walking around like, what the hell? It is incredible. There's SBRs. They got a whole row of suppressors down here, pistol caliber carbines, all sorts of off-roster guns. It's incredible. So you just kind of stand there for a second and you look around and you realize this is the way that it should be. This is the way that it should be everywhere. Why is it not like this over there? And I remember I told you guys in a different video that it really strengthened my resolve to fight for the people that are in these restricted states, not just California, but every restricted state. Every state that can't have anything over a 10-round magazine, we should be concerned about. Every state that's passing unconstitutional gun laws, just like Washington right now is doing this huge push. Fight for Washington, fight for Massachusetts, fight for New York, fight for all these places, because this is the way that it should be for all of us, not just a select few or some of us, or for people that feel like they're more privileged and screw you in California because, you live under a tyrannical government. That's one thing that I've kind of experienced as well. Coming here, I've noticed that I've been judged a lot by a lot of people. I've been physically told to my face to go back to California. I have had people that have been kind of unwilling to serve me when I had my California ID and I would have to pull that out. There's been a lot of anti-California sentiment when I come here. And so, that's something that you're going to have to understand too, is when you're in California, you're a California resident, and then you move out of state, whether it's Texas, Idaho, or wherever you decide to go, Arizona, Nevada, there's going to be a little bit of pushback. That's just something that you guys need to expect, because people see what they see on the news and they think everybody coming over from California is going to be somehow a nuisance and a hindrance on their freedoms, when a lot of us that are leaving are actually the good people who are looking for something better. So it's almost like saying that you're going to judge somebody off of an entire group of people just because that group of people is in the same state as you, when there is a pretty good amount of people that are leaving that are not associated with that group that's ruining the state at all. There is a small percentage that's going to come over and it's going to, definitely affect the people of where you live, but really it's the good people that are leaving. I think at least a majority of the good people that are leaving. Yeah, the blue spreads, but I think there's going to be more spreading of the blue from mainstream media and stuff like that than, a few people going here and there. I think it's the media that's really going to affect people's thought process more than anything else. So yeah, freedom, that's a big thing. But what about everything else? What about money? What about living situations? What about affordability and housing? I mean, these are also other big things, because that's why I was forced out of California. I simply couldn't afford it anymore. Now, in 2019, California kind of separated my family. My older brother Ryan ended up moving him and his family out to Georgia. My younger brother Tom ended up moving his family to Montana. And then because of financial situations, I had to move my family out here to Nevada. So we kind of encompass everything, really. We got the north, we got the west, and we're out in the east. But all of us have had the same experience. Living outside of California is something that has really changed our lives. And it's changed our lives for the better, because California is one of the most stressful places that you can live. Around every corner there's a tax. There are gas taxes, there's housing taxes, there's taxes on taxes. Everything that you do is just taxed over and over and over. And by the time you make $1, and you spend 25 cents, the government's got the other 75 cents. And that's the way that it goes in California. The money that you spend doesn't go towards what you're spending. It goes to the government, and then you can have whatever little, bits and pieces of what you actually earned, and you can have those things back. So that's one thing that we can all agree on, is that when you're outside of California and you're in a state that's a lot more free, it's incredible how much more money is in your pocket. I left again because of financial situations. I hit some hard times. People stole my equipment. I was demonetized here on YouTube, and I had to think fast. I got 3 little kids, 2 years old, 6 years old, and 7-year-old. And it's my responsibility to make sure that these people can eat. My family can eat. These people, that my kids can eat, and have a roof over their head. And I wasn't going to be able to afford anything out there the way that it was. So I had to look outside of California to say, okay, it's going to be difficult, but how do we do this? And so we made the move. It was a really quick jump. We came out here, and what's interesting is in Nevada, there is no state income tax. So that's a huge win right there. I mean, California state income tax is some of the highest in the entire country. So you have the federal government that's taxing your income. You got the state of California that's taxing your income, and then ridiculous sales tax and everything else that you're being taxed on. Out here, what I find incredible is there's no income tax, and the cost of living is so much less. So like I was telling people before, I'm spending about $500 less per month and getting over about 1,000 square feet. Well, no, it was 500 square feet. I forget. But either way, I'm spending less money for a larger house here than I was in California. The utilities are less. Everything is less. The cost of fuel is less. I mean, in California, you're looking at like $5 a gallon right now for gas. When I went to Costco out here in Nevada, I paid $2.79 for gas. It is unbelievable. That saves you so much money in the long term that it kind of takes you back, because at $2.79, I can go ahead and, I have a Chevy truck. It's a 5.3 liter V8, and it goes through gas. That's why I take all my stuff and I go through the desert, and I'm off road all the time. And so I go through a lot of gas. But at $2.79, I can afford it. I can afford to put that gas in. I can afford to take my kids out to dinner. I can afford to take my wife and I out on a date. These are the things that I can afford now that I couldn't afford them, while at the same time living a better lifestyle. So it's a lot less stressful. In California, you wake up and it's like the daily grind just to pay your bills. Getting a single bedroom apartment is like $1,600. You want to get a 2-bedroom apartment, you're looking close to $2,000. And then when you want to go up to a 3-bedroom apartment, forget about it. You're like $2,400 for a 3-bedroom apartment, maybe $2,500, even higher. I mean, it's absolutely out of control. So when you want to get something and you want to live, you get something and you live, but you work just to live. There's nothing outside of that. And I found that financial freedom out here is so much better, because you can work, you can pay your bills, and at the same time, you can have a little bit more left over at the end of the day to do the things you want, like buy guns and ammo. Now, one downside to moving out of California is you kind of lose the weather. And I know the weather is a very valuable thing to a lot of people, and they're not willing to lose the weather, even if it means they can afford something bigger. Because I can tell you right now, today in Vegas, it's about 110 degrees, and we have like 70% humidity. So it is hot, it is sticky, it is muggy. I'm sweating like crazy right now because my studio's in the garage, and it's probably a good 125 degrees in the garage right now. So I'm constantly having to stop just to wipe the sweat. It's out of control. So you have different types of weather depending on where you move. My brother that moved up to Montana, you're going to talk about snow. A lot of snow for a lot of the year. During the summer months, it's absolutely beautiful. The other day he was on a hike. It was like 80 something degrees, took his family out to the river, beautiful green lush scenery. I mean, it was incredible. And his kids love it. My brother that lives in Georgia, forget about it. I mean, even if it's 90 degrees outside, 85 degrees, you have 100% humidity, it feels like it's 100 million. So you have different types of weather that you have to deal with all over the state, depending on where you want to go. The more north you go, the more cold it's going to be. The more southeast you go, the more humid it's going to be. Central of the country, you're just talking about dry heat, like Nevada, Arizona, and so forth. So you have different weather that you're going to experience when you leave California. California, where I lived, kind of on the north side of LA County, it was hot, but it definitely wasn't this hot. I mean, we've had, 2 weeks consecutive over 108 degrees. It's just been really, really hot, which has put a big hamper on my shooting ability to go out into the desert and do what I need to do for 7 or 8 hours like I used to do before. So weather's a big deal. Now, this next one I know is stupid. Okay, I'm just going to say it right out front. I know this next one is stupid, but it kind of surprised me because in California, we have a California redemption value for plastic and aluminum bottles and cans. So it's 5 cents per can. And when you go to buy, let's say, a 24-pack of Pepsi or something like that, 24-pack of Pepsi times 5 cents per can that's in there, that's what you have to pay on top of the actual cost of the soda. So when you go out in there to buy something that's $6, you're going to spend $7.20 on it, plus whatever applicable tax is going to be applied to that as well. So you have that, you have the tax, and then you come out here and there's no redemption value on the sodas. So if you want to go and you want to buy a 24-pack, it's $5.99. It's $5.99. That's a stupid thing, I get it, but still, it saves me, more than $1 for each purchase I make, and then 10 cents for the 2-liter bottles in California, and you don't have to pay that here either. Another weird thing, and something I didn't expect to be weird, but was when you walk into Walmart or you walk into the grocery store, they don't ask you if you want a bag anymore. In California, they've eliminated those throwaway plastic bags that you would get at the grocery store, and now you have to buy 10 cents a piece, each one of these sort of plastic reusable bags. You walk out here, they don't even ask you if you want a bag. They just take your stuff, they throw it in the bag, then they double bag things and they give it to you, and you're like, that's the way that it should be. It's incredible. In California, near LA County, where I lived, they started using paper straws, or they just didn't give you a straw at all. You would go through the drive-thru, and you'd be driving back home. You're like, shit, I don't have a straw, because the straws, you have to ask for it. And if you don't ask for it, they don't give it to you. And if you go to a restaurant, they start giving you these stupid paper straws, and you come out here and they just grab a bunch of straws, even if it's more than what you need, and they just hand you the straws with your cup holder, and off you go. So it's not just the firearms freedoms, it's the freedom to kind of be what you want, choose what you want, and have what you want, and you live a more happy and more free lifestyle. Again, what kills me is that this is only 3.5 hours away from my old house, and this is the way that I'm living now. So it is really interesting. Now, I got to be honest with you, there's so much more to talk about that it's really hard to cover everything here. Housing is cheaper, gas is cheaper, utilities are cheaper. The only thing that I've noticed so far that's more expensive out here and in other states is going to be car insurance, because there's so many accidents because of the strip and hit and runs and stuff like that. People in cabs and running across the street and getting hit. The car insurance out here is ridiculous. I mean, it is really expensive. But other than that, everything else seems to be significantly less than where I came from. So it makes for, again, a better lifestyle. You don't have to make any more money, but because you're spending less, it feels like you have more money. Now, another thing that's a lot different than California is the ability to not only open carry, but concealed carry. In California, concealed carry is very sporadic. In LA County, it's almost impossible to get a concealed carry permit. I'm just going to say it's impossible. If you live in San Bernardino County or Riverside County, then it is possible. If you live in Ventura, it's possible. If you live in San Diego, it's iffy. And so, it's very sporadic as to who can conceal carry. You might be living in LA County and you might be in downtown LA, and you can't conceal carry, but a guy that was got his permit in Riverside, he can be standing right next to you and able to carry. Even though you're both law-abiding citizens of the same state, he can carry, but you can't, because again, it's sporadic. Out here, you can open carry anywhere in the state. And open carry is not like standard open carry like it used to be in California, where you had to have the mag and everything separated from each other and fully exposed. Out here, you can have the mag and have the gun loaded if you wanted to, and then you can have the holster in your side or inside the waistband, as long as you have maybe the grip or something that's identifiable as a firearm sticking out. So a certain percentage of it has to be sticking out, it has to be identifiable as a firearm, but everything else can be tucked away. And so I think it's a really cool form of open carry that's allowed out here. I'm actually going on the 28th to get my concealed carry permit. I'm going to be taking that at Spartan Arms. What's interesting about that is in California, I had my Utah non-resident concealed carry permit, which had reciprocity here with Nevada. So I could use that permit here in Nevada, and I've been carrying here in Nevada now for years. The class was kind of short for my Utah non-resident. It was short, didn't require any shooting. It's basically just filling out some paperwork, watching some videos, and talking about some laws. That's it. Then you go ahead and you send it off, and in a month or so, you get your concealed carry permit back from Utah. And I was able to use that here in Nevada. But to get a Nevada permit, when I go on the 28th at Spartan Arms, I'm going to have to go through an 8-hour class, which also involves a little bit of qualifying. So you're going to basically do 30 rounds, and you have to qualify at 3 different distances, 10 rounds each. And so it's an 8-hour class, which involves some shooting, which is really interesting because, again, I could carry with the Utah non-resident permit that had almost none of those requirements at all. So either way, I'm getting my concealed carry permit. I'm really excited about that, and the ability to open carry until I get my concealed carry permit. It's just really cool. Now, I'm sure there's going to be people out there wondering what I'm going to use to conceal carry now that I'm here, and now that there's not a roster, and now that I'm not stuck to Gen 3 Glocks and so forth. So I wanted to show you guys what I bought a little while back. I've put only maybe 300 rounds to it so far, just kind of practicing with it. I shoot a little bit low with it. I got to figure out why that is. Maybe I have to change my grip or something. But I got the Glock 48 here, chambered in 9mm, and this is a really nice pistol. It's essentially a Glock 19, but it's a little bit more slim. It holds 10 rounds. Does not have any type of light or accessory rail on it, but again, it's much lighter and it's much thinner than a Glock 19, and it's really nice. The ergonomics are great. You know, it's got that nice Gen 5 grip on it. The hump is pretty well reduced in the back right here, and it's just got a really nice, good feel to it. So I went ahead and got myself a Glock 48, and that's what I'm going to be carrying primarily when I'm here. So again, not having the roster means that you can get just about anything you want. Now, I always encourage people, if you're living in these states, to stay and fight, because the more that the population of good people reduces in this state, the more that the blue is able to take over and really get a stranglehold on the people that are left over. But if you're either forced out or you just choose to actually leave on your own, make sure you do your research, know exactly where you're going and what to expect, watch YouTube videos where people do walk-arounds of different cities, understand the area that you're going to be moving to, because it's difficult. You know, I don't have any friends here, I don't have any family here. You know, I hardly know anybody here at all, definitely not on a really personal level, but it's difficult. You know, we're basically a family of 5 that are on our own, we're by ourselves, and there's no help anywhere around. So you want to make sure that you know exactly what you're getting into before you really get into it, because I was coming to Nevada all the time to review different things that I couldn't review in California, or test things out, or do different, just, you know, having fun shooting. I was here enough where I knew exactly what to expect before I got here, so it made the move really easy. It was an immediate thought, let's just go to Vegas, let's see what the cost is of houses and the cost is for rent, and let's do this. We got to get out of here. And so for me, it was easy because I already knew pretty much the entire area. Nonetheless, it's a big change, and that's something that you should be ready for as well. It's going to be a big change no matter where you go. So anyway, guys, I just kind of wanted to tell you, you know, my experience. It's been an amazing experience. It's been great. It's been very humbling. It's been something that has actually made me have a little bit of guilt, because I don't feel like I should be enjoying these freedoms if other people can't. That's just the way that I'm wired. I don't feel like I should be able to buy this stuff if you can't too. Even if that's ridiculous, it's just the way that I feel about it. So, you know, I got to get the stuff and use what I can while I'm here and enjoy the freedoms while I can. But hopefully we can overturn some of the stuff in the less free states, and you guys can become a little bit more free like the rest of the country in the way that it should be. So I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. Have a great day.